Brighton 4, Manchester United 0. What a disaster. What an absolute disaster. I know, obviously, I banged on about MATIC and Mata the other night when they both played and both played well. And MATIC has been in the team for a while. But the underestimation of what MATIC does for the team absolutely astonishes me. It's astonished me for a long time. At half-time today, 1-0 down. If you think about the first half, as much as Brighton were in the ascendancy and they had all the play, they weren't cutting through us like a knife through butter. They had a couple of decent chances, but they weren't just walking through us. Matic is the shield in front of the back four, and he's a physical presence. And at half time, I said to the lad I was watching the game with, I said, I hope he doesn't panic here. You at 1-0, you are still in the match. And even though we were under the cosh, I've seen games like that change. They can change in an instant. And substituting Matic for Fred and having no defensive shield in front of the back four when they were dominating us was an absolute disgrace. It was a disgraceful decision. And if you think about, in fact, if you go back to the first half and you think about the goal and you think about their next best chance, the goal, it comes into the box from wide. Tellez gets a shocking header, absolutely shocking header, straight up in the air. Then he goes to try to win the ball for the second time, but he's held off like holding off a child, and the kid manages to lay it off. Tellez then blocks a shot. He goes to somebody else who scores. If you think about the type of goal that it was, it's not that they're just walking through us. It's a stupid header by the left back, and then a decent shot. But I don't know if De Gea should have done a little bit better, to be honest. But he was unsighted. But they've not just walked through us. It's a shot from 30 yards or the best part of 30 yards. And if you think about the next best chance that they had, I know it's horrible when you're a United fan and you sat there watching it and you're thinking, wow, we should be 2-0 down. But it's a long punt up the field from the keeper that Varane should do better with. Varane should do better with it. Not covering himself in a lot of glory, Varane, either, by the way. He got skipped past too easily in the box by Gross when Gross, was it Pascal Gross, I think, scored one of the goals. Just got skipped past too easy. But so the first goal is an header out of the box by Tellez that's got to be better. I'm confident that 99 times out of 100, Luke Shaw would get 20 yards on that header, and Tellez is heading it straight up in the air. And then, obviously, the next best chance is from a long punt up by the keeper. They're not just walking through us. You take Matic off and look at the start of the second half. They're absolutely walking through us time after time after time after time. They must have scored. I mean, it took them about 2 minutes to score. At least they've only scored once in the first half. It took them 2 minutes to score, probably. And then they've got two more within the next 10 or 12 minutes. And it could have been 4 or 5. They're just absolutely walking through us. The value of what Nemanja Matic brings to your team is just so underestimated. It's unbelievable. In fact, on the third goal, I'm going to have a look at all the goals later. But on the third goal, there was 2 or 3 passes involved. It wasn't just a rapid break, but I'm looking for Fred. I can't even see Fred. The number of times in the first half where they're getting balls into the box and Matic is there either heading it out. I saw him block one by the near post on one side. I saw him block it on near the right back spot. Matic is there defending, and yet Fred, I can't even see Fred when they're attacking. They're getting the ball into our box. I couldn't even see where he was, and it's just shocking. And now the management's a disgrace. The other substitution, by the way, I wouldn't have done that. At half time, I'm thinking to myself, don't panic. You're 1-0 down. You've got to try and get a foothold in the game. I understand that. And people will think, well, you've got to try and score a goal by bringing an extra striker on. Doesn't work like that. He's brought an extra striker on, which has made us more open. Now then, that Cucurella, or Cucurella, however I think it's Cucurella, what a player, by the way. And I've watched Brighton all season. A lot of people will know that. I've said it quite often. They're a top side. I said before the game on my Instagram post, I said this. I actually thought it was going to be a good game. I thought we were going to give them a game. But, they've won at Spurs recently. They've won at Arsenal recently. They've beaten Wolves away 3-0. Do you know what I mean? They're a top side. They're an absolutely top side. Graham Potter's done an unbelievable job. Some of the players they've got there, some superb players. So So I knew it was going to be a tough game. I didn't expect him to batter us like that. But Cucurella had Elanga in his pocket. He absolutely had Elanga in his pocket. And with just a few minutes to go before half time, I'd have done it sooner. They seemed to switch him. Don't know whether it was just a natural flow to play. Sometimes in a natural flow to play, you can end up in a different position. And I noticed one moment of, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes before half time that Bruno ended up on the right and Elanga was like through an inside left position. And for a minute, I thought they'd switched. Whether they had or not, I'm not sure. But at half time, I was thinking, don't panic. You're still in the game. It's only 1-0. Not in a million years. I wouldn't have dreamt of it. I was shocked he took Matic off. Not in a million years would I have took Matic off for Fred. But all I would have done is I would have switched Elanga, get him out of the firing line, put him on the left wing, get Bruno up against, Bruno's the vice captain. He's wearing the captain's armband at the moment while Maguire's not been playing. Let him go up against Cucurella. Let's see if Bruno can give him a run for his money. Because everybody will be saying, look at Elanga there too. When Cucurella took it off him sort of level with the edge of our box on the touchline when Elanga was in front of him. It looks poor by Elanga, and it is poor to be fair, but that Cucurella is some player. He is some player. He just takes it off him like taking candy off a baby. We should have put a more experienced player up against Cucurella. We should have tried to get Elanga out of the firing line and put him on the left wing. I've been crying out to see him on the left wing when Sancho was playing, by the way. I'd like to see Sancho on the right, Elanga on the left, but it never seemed to do it that way round. But today, for certain, he should have switched Elanga to the left-hand side. He should have put Bruno on the right-hand side. Don't forget, at this point, it's 1-0. It's 1-0. And Matic should have stayed on. And well, there was no need to make any substitutions. There really wasn't. You needed to find a different way. Managers get a bit too panicky, a bit too thinking like they've got to try and change stuff with players that they've got on the bench. You don't necessarily have to do that. We should have given Bruno the job of trying and play against Cucurella, try and get some change out of him, but also try and stop him because he's such a good attacking player. Now then, look what happens. Was that the second? That was the second goal. Cucurella, nobody around. If you watch it from behind the goal, there's hardly a player on that side of the field. We brought Cavani on. Cavani's playing more as a striker or a support striker for Ronaldo, and then you've got nobody playing out on that side. Cucurella's got the freedom of the park. I mean, even if he hadn't have done what I'm suggesting, I'd have put Bruno to the right and I'd have put Elanga to the left. But even if he'd have left it as it was, at least Elanga would have been there. At least he would have been there. You can't just throw caution to the wind. It's more or less throwing caution to the wind. Bruno's playing too far up. You're bringing an extra striker on. You've got two strikers. You've been getting pummeled. You're getting pummeled, so you've got to defend better. You've got to defend better. Lots of people think, "Oh, bring the striker on. We've got to try and get a goal back." It's not going to help. It's not going to help if you can't get the ball up there, and if you can't get the ball off them. One of the first things you've got to do, you've got to stop the opposition. You've also got to get the ball off the opposition. You could have 6 strikers up there, but if you can't get the ball to them, it's no good, is it? You're better off being more compact, being more solid, stop the opposition, make it difficult for them to play through you, and wait for your moment. We still had the odd attack. I know there was nothing exciting in the first half, but you still do get the odd attack. We got a free kick, didn't we, in the first half? Ronaldo had a shot. A bit of a poor effort, to be honest. But you do get your moments. Your moments will come along, and it's a childish way, in my opinion, of thinking when the other team is so dominant and you think, well, I'm going to bring an extra striker on. Doesn't work for me. Obviously, people could bring up instances where it has worked in the past. Of course, it can work. But in my opinion, you're better off making yourself more difficult to play through, more difficult to beat. Try and stay in the game and hope that on one of these breakaways, one of these situations where you do get the ball up at the other end of the park, that something breaks for you. But what he did, it was more or less throwing caution to the wind, and they ripped us to shreds, much more so than they did in the first half, and thoroughly deserved their 4-0 victory and should have got more. And as I say, he's done a fantastic job there, Graham Potter. They've got some great players. I'm dead pleased for Danny Welbeck, by the way. He looks a really good centre forward, holds it up, runs the line, brings people into play. He's a top player still, Danny Welbeck. Congratulations to Brighton. United have got a lot of work to do. The manager, I've not been happy with some of these substitutions in the past, and definitely not today. That's my thoughts on today's game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you perhaps for the Sunday show.